And that's the
Now,
disappointment when you fuck a guy for over an hour and he just go.
Did anybody recognize you from film in the industry? They did? Okay. Okay. Well, I just told me you gotta do what you gotta do.
You are such an advocate. One thing is what I love is I love seeing a lot of the beautiful women that's in the industry as sex advocates.
And I would set up crystals on their body based off of their chakra. And the crystals, what they do is if they sit long enough, they begin to like permeate through the body. They begin to expand through the body and they create a grid.
I shot with John Q too. You know, John Q, you know, I was the first big girl, but he did his side, you know, his side. Yeah. But
I would, and I have given my last dime to people. I've given when I should have just watched. And it's not always about giving financially. It's giving your space and your time and your energy.
So that's kind of like a 50-50 answer, what I got. That wasn't really a yes or no answer.
I think I actually would, and this is of course the therapist in me, I would be asking them, like, tell me how this is celibacy for you.
So we're first there, and
I shoot them just like I would be shooting a regular human. So you don't put the emphasis on that. So it makes it more consistent with the title of being transgender.
I have a really good friend. She lives here in Atlanta. I met her on a porn set. She wrote a book called From Porn to the Pulpit. Now, I won't say she was like this super... Yeah, she's my best friend. She's my best friend. Her name is Danielle Williams McCord. She wrote an amazing book called From Porn to the Pulpit. She's been preaching for 10 years now, but I met her on a porn set.
In any business that you find yourself in. Because definitely for me, like, you know, creating a product to push to the consumer, and for me, everything was consumer driven. If they didn't want it, I'm not gonna make it because I knew it.
Felt like if we kept our head a little below the sagebrush, that we would just be able to keep on going without any interference or anything like that. But that's
like, dude, I'm sitting in like the dressing room, like just with all the 20-year-olds and 22-year-olds, 25-year-olds. I'm like, how old are you? Oh, I'm 25. I'm like, how old are you? I'm 23. And I'm like, dude, I'm 30.
Before I leave the house, I feel like the last look. You know, this is how I feel, this is what I'm thinking, you know. Now, when I get out and interact with other people, it's going to be what it is.
Right, okay.
Hey, my sexy people, Nyomi here from Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap. And I am thrilled to tell you about an important month that we are celebrating, Sexual Health Awareness Month in September. Satisfaction starts with conversation, and that's exactly what we're all about here at Ask Nyomi. We believe that open and honest dialogue is the key to positive sexual health experiences. So join us this September as we come together to raise awareness, break stigmas, and empower individuals like you to take control of their sexual well-being. Throughout the month, we have a lineup of incredible episodes that will cover everything you need to know about sexual health, from understanding contraception, options for navigating boundaries, and practicing consent. We leave no stone unturned. We'll dive deep into topics like pleasure, communication, and reproduction health, all with the goal of bridging the gap and empowering you to make informed choices. So remember, knowledge is power, and it's time to prioritize your sexual health. So mark your calendars and subscribe to Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap on your favorite podcast platform, and get ready for a month full of insightful conversation, expert guests, and eye-opening discussion. Let's break down barriers, challenge taboos, and create a safe space where we can learn, grow, and enhance our sexual well-being. Satisfaction starts with conversation. And with Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap, you have a platform to ask questions, and be a part of a community that believes in sexual empowerment. So join me, Nyomi, this September as we celebrate Sexual Health Awareness Month. Together, let's bridge the gap for a healthier and happier sexual future. Don't miss out. Subscribe today. Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap and be a part of the conversation. Remember, satisfaction starts with conversation.
Yeah, bridging the gap. Nyomi Banks, the goddess. Tune in. Hey yo, Black, where we at? Elements. Got a problem? What's the issue? Ask Nyomi for advice, she will bless you. Is it sex, love, or relationships? If your spirits are down, you can get a daily uplift. Just listen every word that she speaks. Setting trends with hashtags for every day of the week. Hashtag motivational Mondays, testimonial Tuesdays. I've been listening for the last 2 days. Wet Willie or Wisdom Wednesdays. Either way, the conversation gon' be lengthy. It's not hearsay, this is her way. You know she'll keep your thirst trapping on a Thursday. 4 days down, I'll talk about the number 5 day. Never coy, she always keeps it freaky on Fridays. Spiritual on Saturdays with sessions in the morning. Still uplifting and inspiring you all in. Being the goddess that she is, she keeps you all in. Formed on soul searching Sundays, just call in. If you misinformed, come get the facts. Fortunate for you, she's looking to bridge the gap. Yes, she was a porn star, but she's more than that. She's a certified specialist teaching us how to act. By the end of the show, we'll agree to disagree, but be good to each other and ourselves and keep it sexy. Yeah. Tune in every week to Ask Nyomi. Bridging the Gap with Nyomi Banks and Dog Pound Mike. Don't miss it. Tune in.
All right. It's your girl, the goddess Nyomi Banks here on Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap podcast, where we talk about love, sex, relationship, cultural differences, and so much more while bridging the gap between them all and teaching the world on sex, language, attitude, and spiritual uplifting. What is going on, Dog Pound?
It's all good, all good.
You ready for this?
Oh, I'm excited as hell today.
I am so excited. I am honored. I am so excited. Look, BTG crew. Look, we got company. We got royalty that is coming in the building today. And when I say royalty, oh my gosh, she is so iconic. When I was doing my research, she was one of the first people that popped up. Her and Heather Hunter. And when I say that said, yeah, I can do it. Yes, that said that I can do it. We have the beautiful and the iconic Miss Domonique Simone in the house.
Hi.
Hi, beautiful.
Hello. How are you?
I'm well. Oh my God. So let me say this. So when I saw that she had written her book, her memoir, I said I had to get it. I had to get her on this show. You truly open doors for a lot of us women of color, a lot of us Black, especially a lot of colored women. Seriously.
Can you?
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It's
Yeah,
going in and out, so we hear you.
yeah, I can hear you. But this book, let me tell the truth. I literally just finished the book today.
Oh wow!
I finished the book today, and girl, oh, this book is phenomenal. This book is phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
It really is. And usually I go to a break first, but I couldn't. I could not go to the break because, can I say this? I am so very proud of you. I am so very proud of you of just the way that the storytelling that you did, and you told your truth and you lived in your truth. When I was reading it, it was like a movie. It was like a movie that I was playing when I was reading it. You understand what I'm saying? I have questions for you, but then I look, I got my little thing with my
questions.
More and more questions. And man, let me say this, truly thank you. because
Oh,
it's not enough of us. Truly, it's not enough of us that are allowed to share our story or even courageous enough to share our story on what we went through. And yours is so amazing.
thank you.
Truly is amazing. And I don't want to keep talking so much because I'm just sitting here like, girl, like seriously, so let me tell y'all this. This woman's story is amazing, and I don't want to tell it all, and I don't want her to tell it all either because I want y'all to go pick up the book. That's why, because I want y'all to go pick up the book. It's at Amazon and it's at Barnes and Nobles. You can get
Yes.
it from there. I don't know if you're gonna do a Audible on it, but I think you should.
I am. I'm working on that right now,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, I think you should and hike it up because for them to hear your iconic voice and you telling your story will be amazing. It will be so amazing. The
You.
artwork, the pictures. I'm just giving praises on it right now. The artwork, the pictures, everything was so. Mm.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
So you and your team, y'all did your thing. I mean, it's really like everything, and it told the story so well. Like I just kept turning and turning and turning and turning, and just like turning, turning the pages. That I talked enough. I talked enough. So what I want to, even though I introduce yourself, but I want you to introduce yourself and
Hi.
tell the audience who you are.
I'm here with the gorgeous Nyomi Banks. So great to be here with you today.
Thank you. So what I read is you started off in the 80s, in the late 80s, early 90s.
I actually started off in early 90s. Well, maybe it was like 89, 89, early 90s. Yes.
89, early 90s. And back during that time, it's kind of a lot different than what it was when I got in, especially now that those, times are different. And I know you speak a lot of that in the book on how when I read is like really honestly, it was like you guys were treated like royalty versus on the treatment of now. And I'm just serious.
What year did you come in though?
I came in 2006.
Wow. I didn't realize you came in 2006. I thought it was a lot earlier. You came in hard. Like, you everywhere. I was like, all right, Miss Kendra, hey, you're right. Kendra more to me. I was like, Miss America.
Yeah, I came in a little hard. I was behind a little bit from everybody else, so I had to come in a little hard.
Did you come in via video team? Or how did you
Well, yeah, went through video team, but I went to Gym South. Gym South. I went to Gym South. Yes, I went to Gym South.
Awesome to me.
Yes, and Gym South took me on my rounds, so I was able to meet TT Boy. I was able to go to video team and meet the people at video team. And like I said, they wanted to, contract me right from the beginning. So I came in and then my very first thing was with Mr. Marcus. So when I came in,
I only worked with him one time. Yeah, one time.
Yeah, so it was one time.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, this book is juicy. It is. Because the way when you started, first we got something in common. We got a few things in common, but one thing we got in common is our grandmother and her name. Her name. Her name. And when I saw that, her name, and then even with the acknowledgement in the back that you gave to her, that was beautiful. It was truly beautiful in that. All right, so let me ask you, some of the questions that I ask other people first. And then I do want to get juicy into this book.
Okay.
Because I tell y'all, it's some juicy stuff in this book. It's some juicy stuff in this book. All right, so my first question is, what's been the most revealing part of you that you learned about yourself being in the industry?
I guess when I got into the industry, I had never been with a woman before. And one of my very first scenes was with
Terry Weigel. She was at the time she was very controversial because she was the first Penthouse pet to not Penthouse but Playmate to actually get into the adult film industry. That was just a no-no. So one of my first scenes was with her, and I had never been with a girl before. So they basically had to, and I think I don't remember who was directing me. I think it could have possibly been Ron Jeremy, and they basically had to like tell me what to do. And I'm 19 years old, and I'm on this set that I just walked on because I had just finished a shoot for Hustler magazine, and I met a girl on that shoot that asked me, "Hey, would you be interested in getting in the business?" And so I did that first shoot with, it was called Video Exclusives at the time. I did the first shoot with them, and then I went to Vegas, and that's when I met Angel Kelly. And she asked me, that's when I got my first starring role. She asked me, would I want to play her sister in a movie? She did a movie called Dangerous. And then she did a reboot called Even More Dangerous. And she was leaving the industry. And she said, I want to bring you in as my sister. And so I said, okay. And so that's really my first big role. But my very first scene, yeah, I walked on the set and there was like all these people everywhere. And it was just like, I was so scared. And Ron Jeremy asked me, he said, would you like to work? You're beautiful. Would you like to work? And I was like, now? That's exactly how it happened. Yeah, I was like, now? He was like, yes. And my first scene was the girl with Terry Weigel. And she was a screamer. Oh my God, she was a screamer, but it was a lot of fun. So that really opened me up right there. And I was very comfortable doing that scene. I didn't feel uncomfortable at all, but it was different. I think the overwhelming part was just being on the set and you know how everybody's standing around us. But you know, after a while it gets kind of normal. And that probably was what made me open up with my sexuality. And I've worked with a lot of girls and loved it. I remember we did a 50 girl gangbang once for a movie production, and it was just so much fun. I loved it. I never worked with you though.
No.
I worked with you. I would have loved to work with you. No, that would have been amazing.
Exactly.
It's coming from Video Team, and I did so much work for them. And I remember when you came in, I remember Jim said, "Oh, you have one that's going to give you a run for your money, girl. You got one that's going to give you a run for your money. She's going to steal TT from you."
No, you can have TT.
I remember him telling me that, and I was just like, oh, she is so gorgeous, and it was just amazing when I saw you on film. I was, she's so beautiful.
Thank you. That I do. I truly do appreciate it because, like I said, I had met Jim South early on. Came for the figure modeling, that's in the back of the magazine back then. It was
Yes. I talk about that in my book. That's how I got started. I talk about that, right?
Yeah, I invested that, and because I did a lot of new modeling and in my mainstream days, and so I went there, thinking that that's what it was, and then he was like, no, he said, I can get you probably in, Hustler or something like this. He said, but I think you would do very well in video.
We have the same story. Story, but I didn't go to Jim South. I went to another agent. He was another agent at the time.
Okay.
And then I went over to Jim South's office later on.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, he did very well by me. He really did. I stayed with him, I think, for about a year before yeah.
He was my agent. He was my counselor. He's the referee with me and TT. So he loves me. So I really miss Jim. He really was really kind to me, and he played a big part in how my career was, and he kept me safe.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, and I need to be ashamed of myself on this part because I didn't know that he had passed away until I read your book. I didn't know that he had passed away in 2020. No, when I read your book is when I saw.
Yes. I found on social media. I was really saddened by that because there's a lot of girls that enter the industry and they don't have the direction that you and I had, and it was much more difficult to just be led in the right direction. You know, you can go down to so many dark tunnels, as I talk about in my book, and he just really protected me, and I'm just so blessed to have had him as an agent.
Yeah, he was. He was one of those agents that truly did care. He did. He truly, even after I left him, we still kept in contact. During my career span, we still kept in contact. Yeah, so
That's
he was.
awesome.
Yeah, he was a
You
beautiful
lived
spirit.
with him for a little bit? You said
Wait, say that again. You're kind of going in and out.
you lived with him for a little bit?
Say that again.
Did you say you lived with him for a little bit?
Oh no, 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 no.
Oh, okay. I thought you said that. Oh, okay.
We kept in contact even
Oh,
after
okay.
he left his agency and went to another agency. We stayed in contact. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. All right. So so let me ask you this. I read the book and I seen your mountains of up and down and what you went through.
Yes.
What chapter? Because you went through a lot of chapters in this book, and I'm just not talking about the chapters that you wrote, but there was more chapters within those chapters that you wrote. What can you tell me was the one chapter that needed the most healing?
I would say maybe the one where I talk about the relationships. I think that's I gotta look at my book and find out. I'm looking. I think probably the maybe crazy little thing called love. That was a really, difficult chapter to write because it's really hard maintaining relationships, and I found my true loves and those loves, and because of the way I grew up and certain things that happened to me when I was younger, I had I dealt with a lot of separation anxiety. And so I think that when I was writing those chapters about those relationships and how profound they were to me, it was kind of overwhelming, but I had a chance to heal from that. I One of my loves was TT Boy, of course, and I talk about him in my book, and that was a very crazy relationship because we had a lot of people that were against us, mostly jealousy within the industry. And he was my first love, and he protected me when I got into the industry. He said, "This is my girlfriend. You better not do her wrong." And along with him and Jim South, I was good. So I was able to actually do his show maybe about 3 years ago, and we sat down and we talked, and that was a real defining moment and healing moment for me. And because I found that I took a lot of that pain into other relationships, and so I was able to heal and sit down and talk to him, and I love him. I always will, and we're good friends now.
Even with reading it, I felt the healing towards the end. So I know when you made notion of that, you had actually spoke to him in 20, I think it's 2021 that you had spoke to him, that you all were, pretty good. Um, that was a part of your healing moment that you were going through.
It was part of my healing moment. And having a relationship when you're in the business is really tough. I attempted 2 relationships with actors, and it's really tough when you're in the industry. But I'd say that chapter was probably the toughest one for me, just reliving that pain. But I've worked myself through that pain, and I'd probably say the Dancing with the Devil chapter. That was pretty fun to write. That one was a pretty fun chapter to write too.
So let me go to the book. So right now, I just want to first ask your permission because there is 2 things that I saw that was in there that has to deal with your relationship, and I want to know if it's okay to ask you where were you at in that moment of time. I'm gonna say razor, and I'm gonna say pills.
I was I really don't know. I was just, I, as I talk about this in my book, I came out here at a young age. I didn't really have the support of my family because they really didn't want me to leave Georgia. They, I had a scholarship to go to Spelman, and me coming out to Los Angeles to do the scholarship for the fashion was something that my family was totally against. So when I came out here, I was all alone. So at that moment, I just felt like I was losing everything. It's coming out to Los Angeles, big, from a small town, and I didn't come from Atlanta. I came from Valdosta, Georgia, which is a very, very small town. And to be out here in the big city and all of the things that I had happened within such a short period of time was just overwhelming. So I had that protection in that relationship to where I felt safe. And I think at that moment, I felt like everything was crashing down, along with the problems I was having in the relationship. It was just a lot of jealousy in the industry towards me and the relationship. And we just had a really, really tough time. So I think that at that moment, I just felt like I was lost.
Mm.
Very,
Mm.
and that chapter right there was very difficult to talk about as well. Yes. But like
Yeah.
I said, I did a lot of healing, and it took a while for me to get to where I am right now. And I'm so glad that I experienced everything that I experienced within the industry because it helped me become a stronger person. I don't know what I would have done if I would have came into the industry later and gone through everything that I went through. So yes.
Thank you. All right. So, as an adult film star, what led you to pursue the career? Well, we already know that. But what was some of the biggest misconceptions or stereotypes that they have for you? And I know I read it, but I want them to hear you
But
say
for
it.
me,
Yes, for you.
I say, there's a lot of sex and drugs in the business, but I think that people think that that's all we do is just sit around and have sex and do drugs, and it wasn't like that. Most of the things that most of my extracurricular was not on video sets, and they did not allow that. If it was known that you were a party girl or anything, you were just like blackballed. So I get a lot of people say, "Oh, what is it like? I bet you guys go to parties all the time and you're just having sex." And it's not like that. The most I ever saw with that was when I would go to the award shows and then go to the parties there. And I'm looking around and I'm like, "Oh, everybody's here and having sex." But why? We have sex. Why is everybody doing it out here? So that's probably one of the misconceptions that I get about the industry. Yes.
All right, here's another question. What are some of the positive aspects of that benefit of working in adult film that you've had?
I think that the self-awareness as far as like your body and there's when I entered the industry, they weren't even testing for HIV. They weren't testing for HIV. So just the awareness of disease and everything, because we could go to a club and just meet a guy and you can't just bring somebody home and have sex with them.
Right.
I think those people that do that are more at risk of contracting anything than we doing what we did on film, because we were tested. But it was about, maybe after I got into the industry, they started testing maybe 6 months later. So it's kind of scary about me working in the late 90s and they weren't testing. But we had a big scare in the late 80s, and it shut down the industry for about, I'd say it shut it down for a few months. And they had a lot of doctors come in and talk to us and just inform us about HIV. But it's not just HIV, it's other things. It's other things that you have to worry about. So I think I learned health and self-awareness being in the industry. And yes. Yeah, it's kind of scary to think about. They were testing when you were in the industry. You were doing the PCR test, right?
Right. So when I came in, Ames was there with Sharon Mitchell, which she, created and she started. So even right before you do your very first scene, when you go in there, they take your test, but then you had to sit there and watch a video. There was a video that you had to
Oh,
watch.
they did that? Oh, that's
So
crazy.
very, they make sure that you were aware of everything and that you are safe. Those are things that they taught you when you came in, and I thought that was very um responsible for them to do that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because that's one of the things when my grandmother found out, when my grandmother found out, and my mother found out, that was the first thing that they say. I just hope that you're being safe. What you're doing. They didn't pass any judgment on me at all. They were just hoping that I was being safe with it. So when I say that we had something alike, it was our relationship with our grandmother.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
And
and I was very, very concerned about most of all, I was very concerned about how my grandmother would perceive me being in the industry. One question I wanted to ask you: when you came in, were they testing at the 5-minute testing center, or it was Sharon Mitchell?
It was Sharon Mitchell. Yeah, it was Sharon Mitchell. It was
That's
Sharon Mitchell.
sitting and waiting like we would have to wait. We had a testing center that we would go to before Sharon Mitchell, and it was a 5-minute testing center, and it's just so stressful sitting there waiting for your results. That's the part I didn't like. I was just like, oh my goodness, and if they called you to the back, then everybody would know that, oh, there's something wrong. And it was just that was really stressful, but I'm really glad that they did start up the testing, and Sharon Mitchell was great with facilitating everything in
Yeah.
the way she did. She was awesome, and I'm just really glad that she started up that testing.
Yeah. It was really good. It was kind of hard when they pulled away from when that was. I don't know exactly what happened, but then they started bringing another company called Talent Testing. I think that's what it was. That came in after Talent Testing came
I
in
think I was probably gone by then when they started doing that. I was probably retired by then.
Yeah,
But I went to it. Was it called AIM?
Well, AIM is where Sharon Mitchell was. So that's
Yes,
what
I
that
know it
was.
was called AIM.
That
Yes.
was great. And then they changed it. Then another company came in, and that was Talent Testing after that. Now I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's still Talent Testing or what it is, because it's been a while. I've been out of the industry for over 10 years, so it's been a minute. So I don't know exactly who it is, but it's just with Sharon, there was more of a more intimate connection with
Yes. Yes. Yes.
nurses, and with the people that were in the office there, to where
Yeah.
we're testing. They were still good too, but it was so many companies around that you really couldn't get a good rapport with all of the testing companies around, because they're just trying to make sure that by that time, you know adult entertainment was really booming, because this is where the internet started coming in. You see, with so many different people that was coming in, so they had to, like, you kind of get these tested in and out, because I think at Ames it used to take 2 days. I think it was like 24
days?
to 40
Oh my
hours.
goodness. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. So when they were testing, one of the questions that I had was, so were you testing every 30 days, or was it just
Yeah, they were starting. It was every 30 days that you start, and I think now it's every 15 days. But when I got in, I was so freaked out and scared that I was getting tested every 15 days. So it's like, actually, I do like 2 scenes, and then I will go get tested. Like, I did that for a minute, and then I, kind of stopped and slowed down, because I knew that as long as I wasn't doing any outside things, any extracurricular activities, that at least I knew that I was fine,
exactly?
hey, um, and then I kind of work with the same people all the time. It's like I wasn't working with a large group of guys a lot. I kind of stayed with the same companies, over like Video Team and all of those companies like that. Kind of stayed with them a lot more. So it was more we kind of knew who was what. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
You know, like
yes.
you were coming in, it was a small group for you, and you even wrote it in a time that it wasn't that many women of color, black women there. I believe it was you, Heather, um,
Janet
um,
Jackman.
Janet Jackme, yes, and I love them too.
Cinnamon Love.
Cinnamon, yes,
Mhm.
Cinnamon Love, and
Yes.
Angel Kelly. So for you all to be in,
Angel actually, when I came into the industry, she actually did her last scene in the movie that I did, and then she was done. So that was in like 1989. So when I came in, I think that was right around the time Heather got signed with Viv.
okay,
And you remember Christian Man? Christian
yes,
Man.
I do. Hmm.
He was so nice to me, and I remember he came to me and asked me if I would do a movie called, it was a takeoff of New Jack City, and I remember it was just so much fun. We shot on this red Ferrari, and I had on this red leather outfit, and that was the beginning of the fun part of the industry for me, because I hadn't really done any like feature covers, and video really did put a lot of effort into their covers. And I'm the reason why they started the Baby's Got Back series. So
Oh, okay.
yes,
Woo!
my book. You remember that chapter? I went to Christian, and I'm the reason why he started that line in Loving Color, because I went to audition for In Living Color. And I called Christian after that, and I was just telling him about how embarrassed I was, because I just thought I could go there and just like be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be on In Living Color because I'm pretty. And it wasn't like that. And I remember I went with Janet Jackme, and she could dance. She went in there and she danced. And I remember Ken Wayans and everybody being there. And I so embarrassed myself. So I called Christian Man, and I was like, well, I guess Baby didn't have enough back like that. And he was like, Baby didn't have enough back. My Baby's Got Back. We're shooting that next week. And that's how the series started. Funny, right?
That is funny, and yeah, that is funny. Okay, so when you start off your book, you start to talk about New York, like back in the heyday, and the way that you explain it, when you first explain it, it's just like a super movie. But then you go in and you talk about the
Oh,
the show that you were doing, and how you were just like walking around and seeing it was like 4 different floors. I don't even know if is that club still open. Well, I know it's not still
Showworld.
open.
I don't know if Showworld is open. I know there was this movie show called Pose, and they shot some scenes at Showworld, but that I think that was shot some years ago. But I loved going to Showworld. It was just like a different world, and like I describe it, it was like the McDonald's of sets. It was
Yeah,
like everything you could even imagine was in that one building.
yeah.
And it was just like when you walk in, it was just like a circus. This guy on the bullhorn, the music, the lights. It was just like that's when 42nd and 8th was just like being in Vegas, but sets Vegas, just all the lights everywhere, girls, triplettes, movies, and I remember walking up 42nd Street and seeing my covers in the windows, and people coming up to me and asking me questions and touching me. And it was just me being 19 years old and having that happen to me. It was overwhelming, but it was really exciting. It was and kind of, I thought it was kind of glamorous the way the whole thing was. But it was scary though, because when I went into Show World, and like I said, every other place on 42nd Street was a sex emporium or some type of sets show, but going into Show World, it was like no matter if you walked in there, you would know whether it was day or night. It was always dark in there, and all you saw were the flashing lights and the pictures. And to see my picture on this big billboard, and I'm walking up the street, it was just a big name up in lights. It was amazing, but it was a scary experience, because I think that they've cleaned up that area now, so it's not like that. But I remember walking from my hotel, which they would book us in a hotel that was about 3 blocks from the show world. And I remember it was snowing, and I remember it was so cold, and they sent a bodyguard to come and get me, and I'm walking. I have my glasses on, and I'm walking in the snow, and cars zooming by, and I was amazed. And this wasn't my first time in New York. I had actually been to New York before when I was younger, but not like that. Not like that.
Right, not the headliner.
No, not like that, not like that. And I was actually passing video stores and places that had my movies in the windows, and that's when I started to realize how big the industry was. Wow, this is huge, because I was in Los Angeles and just shooting my pictures, and I would even go to like the magazine when a magazine came out with me on the cover. I would go to the magazine stand and go and go and like buy up all of my covers, because we would take those on the road and sell them for double. So I would actually go and get my covers, and I kind of had a scary experience happen with that, where I went to a place to go get one of my covers, and I'm in there, and usually I'll go grab my cover, but this time I was like, oh, they use this picture, and I'm standing there. They were going, oh, okay. And then someone comes up behind me and says, oh, that's a nice magazine. It scared me. And that was the last time that I ever went to a magazine. Because I was, how they have the magazine stands in LA where they're outdoors, but then they have a little area where you can go in, because they have the magazines, and then they have the adult on one side, and then they have the full adult section inside. So I was inside, and that's the first time I was just ever frightened, because I was back in the section and it was all adult, and I'm back there just looking at my magazine like it's cool. And the guy was like, oh, nice magazine. I was like, I am never doing this again. Yeah.
Yeah, those are some of the things that I used to do too. That's like.
Did you go to Show World? You never went to Show World? Did you feature dance or anything? No,
I featured dance, but I didn't feature dance there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but I didn't feature dance there. All right. So you had answered my question about the testing already, because I told you, now I'm going into the book. Now I'm going into the book. All right. So I want to have some fun first. Before we go get a little deep. So when I was reading, and I had one slip, I said celebrities. I said, wow. She dated a lot of celebrities.
Yeah.
A lot of celebrities. And then when I started reading their names, and I was like, oh really? Get out of here. What? Like literally when I'm reading the book, this is me reading your book at some of the things that like, girl, now you knew, or girl, no, or really? Like that was really me, like I'm watching a movie in my head as I'm reading.
Oh my goodness.
Right. So your very first encounter with a celebrity, I want you to describe this, because the thing is that I am a big New Edition fan. I am a indie heartbreak type of chick. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out how you do that. I read it, but I want people to know. So all I'm gonna say is Bobby Brown, and you take it from there.
Oh my goodness. When I was in high school, Bobby Brown came to West Virginia, and it was with Karen White and Levert. And I was determined. When I found out he was coming, I was determined to get backstage, and I did. And when I got backstage, I met his brother, Tommy, and his dad was there too. And this was, I don't know if you ever saw where he pulled the girls up on stage, and he would have a bed up on stage. Well, I was the girl that he pulled up on stage, and I had on this little mini skirt and this little bra thing and little jacket. It was the 90s, mini skirt and the heels. And I told them I was 18, because if you went on stage, you had to be 18. And I remember I was backstage because someone got me backstage. I manipulated my way back there. I talk about that in my book, so they'll have to read that part.
We're not gonna tell that.
And I come from the stairwell, and when I pop out of the stairwell, that's when I see his brother, and he was like, "Hey, are you lost?" And I was like, "I want to meet Bobby," and he hadn't actually gone on stage yet, and so he was like, "Well, maybe I can make that happen," and And I did. And it was so amazing. My mother actually was in the audience, and all of my friends were there from school. I think maybe I was in the 12th grade, 11th or 12th grade. And he would bring someone on stage when he sang "I Wanna Rock with You, Baby," that song. And I'm telling you, he brought me on that stage, and he was sweating, and I was just watching something on YouTube just last week with one of his concerts where he pulled a girl up on stage, and I was like, oh my God, that's exactly how it was. He was all sweating, and he walked up and he had on those hammer pants and no shirt and that Gumby haircut, and he was singing to me and caressing me and just dropping down to his knees in front of me, and he had a bed was on stage. So he would sit you down on the bed, and girl, it was amazing. And it's so funny because I ended up being at a restaurant with Flash. You remember Flash Brown? Have you ever heard of him? I ended up going to a place with Flash Brown, and Bobby was there, and there's a guy that cuts his hair that I'm friends with, and I called him and I said, "Oh my goodness, Bobby is here," and he was with his new wife and his sister,
Okay.
and he said, "Well, oh, we'll order him his favorite drink, which was a Kettle One over ice." And so he went to the bar, and I was like, he's right here, and he's like, "Okay, stay on the phone with me now. Order this drink and have them give it to him." And when I ordered it, he looked at me and he was like, "Do I know you?" And his the guy that cuts his hair, his name is Benny. I said, "I'm on the phone with Benny right now." And Benny, he grabbed the phone and talked to Benny, and he said, "Why don't you and your friend come sit at the table with us?" So me and Flash, we went and sat down and talked to him and his beautiful wife and his sister. She had a hair care line coming out called Mitts Chicks, and I was talking to her, and we just had a blast. And he was going back and forth, and it was just. And I told him, I said, when I was in high school, you pulled me up on stage and sang to me, and he was like, of course he doesn't remember that because he did that with so many girls, but his wife started laughing, and I was like, I can't believe that I'm sitting here with you right now. It was just such an amazing experience. It was so much fun. So much. Yes. Yes. And of course, I'm a big New Edition fan myself too. So that was just, and it was right when his album had come out with Don't Be Cruel. So he was just like,
prerogative, yeah.
Yes, that concert was sold out, and I went to school the next day, and I had girls wanting to fight me over that. They were so mad. I was just like, "Oh, this is crazy," but it was quite an experience. It was so much fun. So, and I got to kind of see what it's like for them because after I was on stage, I actually went on the tour bus and everything, and it was I wanted that life. I wanted that superstar life in white, and she was so beautiful, and I wanted that. And I had told myself since I was a little girl, I had said I'm gonna move out to LA and I'm gonna marry Michael Jackson. That was my thing when I was a little girl. I'm gonna marry Michael Jackson. And so I was very fortunate to come out here and to actually meet some of the people that I really grew up like a huge fan of, and it was just really exciting.
Yeah. I love how you wrote about the different encounters that you did have with a lot of the celebrities, either in conversations or in other ways. It was just amazing to see, we're not even going to talk about the one very iconic actor that actually, it's several ones, but one of them that I was just really like, really, girl? But then I saw it because I see he loved beautiful Black women.
Yes.
He really do. But y'all got to get the book to find out who I'm talking about. I mean, he is an Oscar award-winning act. When I say this right here, what do they call it? What do they say? She's not high maintenance, but what do they say? What they say about the guys now? When the guys say that when you come in for Domonique Simone, you got to be coming with something. Her dating status is top tier.
He was a lot of fun. He was a lot of fun. Yes. Yes. I had an amazing time with him.
Yes, it's like top tier. I'm looking through here like, dang.
And you know, I was never one to really boast about people that I met. And I was asked, I remember I was interviewed and I was telling my story to I think it was a writer from Rolling Stone magazine that interviewed me. And I was just telling him my story. And he was just like, you should really write a book. You're like, we were supposed to interview for like an hour, and he sat and talked to me for 5 hours. And he said, you know, your story is amazing, and you should really tell your story today. And I didn't feel like that was my time to tell my story. I had so much more that I had to go through and do. And I feel like I wrote my book at the perfect time. I actually started writing my book during COVID.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I started writing it during COVID. And I just felt like that was it took me a year. And I just felt like that was the right time for me to tell my story. Back when I was doing movies was not the time for me to tell my story. And I didn't even have all of the stories that I told.
Right.
Even when I retired, I didn't have all of those stories
Right.
that I told in my book. So I just felt like I wrote my book at the perfect time.
Yeah, because even at the end of the book, where you talk about your healing process, and where you're talking about just spiritually in Oshun, in that whole process of that, and I thought that was amazing. With that,
and I
I'm
wanted
sorry.
to tell you, I came up with the end part of my book. I actually was still writing my book, and I had a dream, and I talk about it and that's when I figured out this is the defining moment. This is where my story ends, because I finally found peace. I finally found peace. So we were still, I was actually still figuring out like what order I was going to put the chapters in and everything. And when I had that dream, I said, this is it. This is it. So you guys have to read the book and
Yeah,
see.
you do. You have to read, and it's like, oh my God, like, but I don't want to give. I don't want to get. Y'all got to go order this book. Like, seriously, y'all have to get the book. Let me tell you something. I got a link on my website, axnaomi.com. It's right there up under her pictures, so you can hit it and place an order. When I say this book is phenomenal, it really is. Like I said, I just finished it today.
Today you just finished it?
I'm doing so many things. I'm building a course, so I'm doing so much, and I really like to do Audible now because I really don't have time to sit down and read. But I like, no, I'm not getting ready to be disrespectful. When she sits here, I want to know that I know her story. You understand? Because I know what it took to sit down and have the courage to write this story and live in your truth. I
Yeah.
know the courage that you had to accept the healing and all the accountability that you did in this book. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So for me to come here and act like I read something, no, I'm not gonna do that. Because I want this to be a number one bestseller. And if anything that me and my BTG crew can do to help move that along, then that's what we have to do. We have to stick together. Seriously.
Yes, we do. We do have to stick together as women and as just as women in general. We
Yes.
all stick together.
Yes. You was gonna say something, dog?
Yeah, y'all really got to order that book because I remember you told me, Naomi, when you ordered the book from Amazon, then they emailed you back said it won't be there for about a week because the book
Really?
and you was upset, but when that book came, you like, okay, yeah, it came a couple days ago, right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
they
See, I want to see your, what do you call it? Your pound, what do you call it? Your guys?
BTG crew, my BTG crew. Yeah.
BTG crew.
Yeah, Bridget the Gap crew. So I just, BTG crew. And they are very beautiful people. They follow me all around. No, I'm just kidding. But they are great human beings. They really are. They are very supportive of every guest that comes on,
Oh, that's amazing.
But for you to come on, like, I was like, I was asked about you about a year ago, and I hadn't really seen you on, on social media a lot. I hadn't. But you do have in one of the chapters you speak about you having this it's like, yeah, you having this and I want to say this catfish moment.
Oh my goodness. That is crazy. That is crazy. And I didn't realize how there's a lot of lonely people in this world, and I didn't realize that people really like changed their pictures, and then all of a sudden I started seeing a lot of pages with me, and it wasn't me, and I'm not really a big social I wasn't a big social media person at that time, but I had just started to get into Facebook. I started off with Facebook, and it's so funny because I started off with Facebook. And do you remember Lana Sands? I know you remember Lana Sands. You probably were. Lana was my friend on my Facebook page, and I was trying to separate my personal page from my industry page. And as soon as I friended her, then everyone started adding me from the industry, and then that's kind of how I started getting big in the social media. And I created my Domonique page, and then I went on to Twitter, and I went on to Instagram. But I did have this catfish moment where I had someone that they were actually catfishing a lot of people, and I actually found this person because they said they were dating Brianna Banks. Remember Brianna Banks? They said they were dating Brianna Banks and posting that they were in a relationship with Brianna, and I had been trying to find her and talk to her. So I messaged this person. I was like, "Oh, you're Brianna's girlfriend, and so nice to meet you. Can you have her give me a call?" And so then they were like, "Oh, we broke up," and then that's how this whole thing started. And people can read about it in my book, but it was just pretty amazing catfish moment. And that's when I realized I didn't really realize that there were people out there that manipulate it like that, because I didn't do that. Every picture that I posted, that's me. That's me with my car. That's me with my boyfriend. Me, whatever. And I didn't realize that there were people out there that manipulate it like that, because I didn't have to do that. So that was a very defining moment for me, and quite scary when you are intimate, emotionally with someone, and you let that wall down, and then you find out that it's not the person that you thought it was. It's just such an invasion of your privacy. Yes. And I felt so
violated.
The way it ended, as soon as I found out that this person was a catfish, they just dropped off the face of the earth. And what's really amazing is the picture that they were using. I have ran that picture through Google, and I still cannot find out who that person is or anything. But this is someone that I would look forward to coming back and talking to, and just telling what I was going through. But one of the blessings that I'm going to tell you that came out of this whole thing, nothing that I said to this person ever went anywhere else. Pictures never went anywhere else. So I really wish I could get to know the person that actually, because that's who I created a bond with them. And when I was going through rough times, this person would send me these messages like, "You're strong and you're going to get through this." And I do miss that, but it's just such a violation. And it's so sad that people feel like they have to do that. And I get messages I can't answer everybody's messages, but I do respond to my messages on Twitter and on Instagram. I will, but I can't respond to every one of them. And sometimes I get people that when they send me a message, if I don't respond right away, they'll just say something rude. And it's not that I'm not wanting to talk to you. It's just that I get so much in my inbox. But that moment that I found out that this person was not who they said they were, it was pretty traumatizing. pretty traumatizing. And I talk about this in the chapter Hardcore Fans. And I don't know if you ever had, did you ever have any experiences with fans that were uncomfortable or yes. Yes, there's, us being in this industry and exposing ourselves like that. And we didn't have guards. When I think about all of the risk I took, and it's amazing that I'm sitting here right now. It's actually pretty frightening because I don't know what the industry is like now, but I don't think in this day and age the girls can do what we did. We had a lot more freedom to move around, and it's not like that now. And it's actually pretty mind-blowing and frightening. So I don't know what your experiences were like with your fans, but I did have some pretty scary experiences too.
Oh yeah, yeah, I had. I truly did. But I had to get it. I had to stop being paranoid because it had gotten me paranoid for a moment.
Yeah.
I started not to dress the way, so I dressed like really down, like I used to wear like hoodies and flip flops and gym shoes, and to
I
try to make sure that no one could recognize me at all. I went through, especially once I retired, that was the really big thing, is just making sure no one saw me as Naomi, and that I could move around with my family. Um, you know,
But did people still come up to you and say, "Oh, I recognize you"? Because even when I was dressed down, I had the signature hairstyle with the bangs and the straight hair. So I remember I was in, maybe it was in Costco, Home Depot, and I'm going up the aisles and I'm with my family, and I see this guy just going from aisle to aisle with this camera. And so I remember going to the checkout, and he was like, "Oh, you're Domonique Simone," and he had actually sent a video of me to one of his friends, and the person that was his friend was someone that followed me on Facebook, and I was just like, "This is so amazing that people." But a lot of people recognize me just for my signature hairstyle, that Naomi Campbell bangs and straight hair, and for a while that's all I did, and I had to switch it up, I a little bit, but I don't know if did that happen with you? Did you have a lot of people that recognized you?
yes, yes, and I was, yes, even when I was dressed down, even when I was dressed down, and I would wear glasses, and I
That's
don't
right.
know if it was my walk.
They can see through your clothes, you know.
I don't know if it was the walk or whatever. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I've had that. So I rarely go to stores anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I don't go to the stores anymore as often. Just the other day, someone came up to, I was at the park. I used to go to the park. Park is where I go. I go and ground myself at the park. And, a guy said, I see you walking all the time with and he was talking. I was like, so you are very gorgeous. So I was like, and I was glad that I had on my glasses, but I wasn't covered up. And then this day, usually I'm all covered up. This day I had on my sundress walking around the damn park, and that's what did it.
Oh my goodness. And the scary part is that he said that he's seen you before,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how stalkers, can be in your life, and so I did have some people that were able. I tried not to keep a routine and go to places at the same times. The only place that I really went to at the same time was the gym, and I talk about that in my book. And my little fight I almost had with someone that has your last name, but it's spelled with a K, Banks. And so Banks. And I talk about my confrontation with Miss Banks in my book. But I
I'm gonna
tried.
touch on that a little bit. Just you know what? Because y'all have to read this. So let me tell you something. It's somebody. Well, when I'm telling you that she was just with some of the cream of the crops, and just having these relationships with these people, and I'm not even talking about just a sexual relationship. I'm talking about just having relationships with people, like people coming at her. People like get ready to fight her, and when you see who it is, that's why I say y'all got to read this book. When you see who it is. You're like, really?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. And you want to? I'm tell you something funny. Jasmine St. Clair, I did her show about 2 weeks ago, and she reached out to me. She was like, I was in the gym that day when that happened. Like, oh my goodness! And she was like, girl. So yeah, so that's probably the only place where I was routine going to the gym. I only went in the mornings between those particular times, but when I was active in the business, I really didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of things because I was working all the time. And when we go on a set, we go there at 7, 8 in the morning, and sometimes we don't leave until 3 in the morning. And I was working all the time. And if I wasn't working here, then I was traveling and I was dancing. I was in Europe. And so I was always busy. So a lot of people say, you're so stuck in the 90s, because during the 90s I wasn't able to sit and watch a lot of the shows that I watch now because I was working. So sometimes I'll post, oh, I'm watching this show now. That show is so old, but I didn't have a chance to sit and watch all of these shows because I was working all the time. So I guess I'm kind of stuck in that era. I'm just kind of trying to play catch up because I was just so busy at that time. So busy. I didn't really have time for a personal life. When I was with TT, we lived together. But even us living together, I didn't see him all the time. Sometimes he would leave, and we didn't work on the same days. So we actually had to arrange our schedules to where we were off at the same time. And he took me on nice vacations and stuff. And we tried to do a lot of fun things together and travel. But yeah, I didn't really have a lot of time on my hands. So on my days off, I would just like sit around and just, those were the days that I go get my hair done, go get my nails done, or go to the movies or do whatever. But I didn't really have a lot of those days until I retired from the industry. And even after I retired, I was doing, mainstream stuff in music videos. I did a music video for Snoop, Murder Was the Case. And I did one for Brian McKnight, which was really fun. That was a really fun music video. And I remember when I did the music video for Brian McKnight, I think it was a song called Keep It on the Down Low. They put me in the background, singing background, and he's singing, and I'm on the stairs, and I'm just like, keep it on the down low, and I'm in the back. And I remember he turned around and said to me, he said, I know you from somewhere. Do I know you? And when I used to go on my auditions, I did not say that I was Domonique Simone. I went by my name, and I was like, no, I'm just a girl from Georgia. And I remember someone telling me that he did a meet and greet somewhere in San Francisco, and people were like, how did you get Domonique Simone to be in your music video? And he said, you guys are talking more about her than you are about my song. So it was pretty amazing because I never really told him anything about who I was. The agent that booked me for that, what was her name? Humes. Let's see. Reed. Her last name was Reed. But I remember when she booked me for the music video, I had my head shots and my bikini shots from my figure modeling. So it never came up. And even when I was shooting the music video, it never came up. But he looked at me, he was like, I know. Her name was Robbie Reeds. Yeah, Robbie Reeds. And it's so amazing because I actually went to an audition. I used to go to a lot of auditions because I wanted to be an actress. And I remember I went to an audition for Menace to Society. And I remember when I went to the audition for Menace to Society, I think she was the casting director. And I remember when I out, she was like, oh, you may want to pick up that script right there. And when I went and picked up the script, it was for Girlfriends, the show Girlfriends. So I almost read for the show Girlfriends. And it would have been for the part of what was her name? Tony.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been for the part of Tony. And so yes.
Wow. So let me ask you this. I want to go a little deep. When I read about your uncle, and you shared his lifestyle in that book with him. And now, okay, so I'm gonna say this, and I want to, but I want y'all to read the book. But her uncle was a drag queen. Is that
Yes.
correct? Yeah. He was a drag queen, and this was back in the '70s. So back in the '70s, it was a little different than what it is now. So my question is to you, from the time then, from now, do you think that that it's changed any, if it's gotten any better, on how society sees it?
I would say so. And one of the best moments I ever had was I was in Vegas for one of the shows, and for shows we have in Vegas, CES, and RuPaul was playing at, maybe it was Bally's, and he was doing a show, and we were able to get into the show, and he saw me in the audience, and he said, "There's my sister Naomi Campbell," and I had on this like cheetah outfit, and my hair was like, and he brought me up on stage, and I think that he had this contest where you had to do an orgasm, like, do your orgasm or whatever, do the voicing for your orgasm. So he brought me up on stage, and I won, and he gave me a bottle of Cavassier, and that was a really defining moment for me because he reminded me so much of my uncle, just the glamour and the class, and my uncle, I used to see him getting ready for his shows and doing the makeup, and I would just stare, and that's probably how I decided that I really wanted to be in glamour, and he would do Diana Ross impersonations, and he was a really good dancer too, and so I'd say when I met RuPaul, that was a very defining moment for me. And do I think that the times have changed from then until now? Yes, I do. I think that it's becoming more acceptable, and 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 people are just changing
Yeah.
in general. There's a lot of things that are becoming more acceptable, and it's just a different time and era for everything.
Also, I want to ask you something. You spoke briefly. Well, no, well, you did. You spoke briefly, then you brought it back up on cosmetic surgery. Now, for you, you went through intensive, not only your breast, but you also had your nose done.
Yes,
Can I
I did.
ask, why did you do that?
When I first came into the industry, I met an actress, and she was the heavy metal model. Her name was Julie Strain. Rest in peace. I heard she passed away, and we worked on a movie, and we did a love scene with a famous actor. And I remember we were in this. Do you remember Greg Dark, the Dark Brothers?
No.
They did the New Wave Hookers. This was like probably before your time. Well, he used to do movies for HBO, and I think Buck Adams and Shawn Michaels did a regular production, and they worked with him. But his name was Greg Dark, so he did a lot of the B movies for HBO and for Showtime, and he actually saw me on a movie set, and he asked me if I would be interested in doing some of the work on his regular films. And this I remember this girl walking onto the set, and she was just tall and statuesque, and like it looked like Wonder Woman. It's like beautiful dark hair, and she said, and this was around the time that around the time of my first breakup with TT, and TT always told me, "You're beautiful. You don't. I don't." He didn't want me to have any surgical procedures. He was just like you. He said, "Beautiful woman I've ever seen," and so this was a little bit after the whole devastation of what happened that we talked about earlier, and my life defining moment, and we broke up. And I remember when she had said to me, "Oh, you're so beautiful," and she said, "I think that you would get more work if you were to get your boobs done and get your nose done." And when she said that to me, and me being on the set with this girl who's the lead in this movie and telling me that I'm beautiful, but hey, if you want to open your career up, this I think this would give you more crossover appeal. I stuck with that. And when I broke up with TT, when we broke up that summer, I went and had my first breast job and my nose done. And if I don't, if what I think that you should be able to do whatever you want to do with your body, whatever makes you feel happy and comfortable. And there's a lot of people that critiqued me afterwards and said, "Oh, she's trying to be this, she's trying to be that." And I've even had some people say, "You don't really work with Black actors," and that wasn't the case. I started off with video team. That was all African American, Black, So when or you're always being put with the white actors, and you're always with, but that wasn't by choice. When I entered the industry, that's when interracial sets became really popular, and that was the in thing. So they put me with the white boys, and I worked with North a lot, and I worked with my boyfriend a lot too. But after I had the surgery, I did receive a little backlash about me not wanting to identify as Black, and that was never the case. I want to be happy with myself, and I am happy with the decisions that I made, and to each their own. That's the way I see it. Everybody in Hollywood either has fake hair, but something, you know what I mean? So, and now it's like a trend. Everybody's getting BBLs, and everybody has hair extensions, and so now it's a trend. But back then, I did receive some backlash. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. I'm going to say this again. I'm going to commend you again for being very honest in this book. This book is amazing, guys. It's called A Star Is Born by the beautiful Domonique Simone. You guys should go pick it up. It's right at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. You can grab it. Great copy. She has it both in paperback and in hard, and also in the hard copy as well.
I'm holding the hard copy. And what I really liked about this book, the pictures, they did so good. And I show where I grew up, and so I was able to just go back in time and walk back in time.
It was a beautiful journey. It really was. It was a beautiful, like I said, how it was put together, how you wrote it. It was like a movie. It
was really fun shooting this cover, and a lot of the pictures. It was just really, really fun. And I'm glad that I was able to. I think they did an excellent job with the pictures, though, and a lot of people are going to be really pleased with seeing like a lot of pictures. I think I have a few pictures in here people had not seen before, and
I like that picture with you and TT. That's a gorgeous picture.
Oh yes,
that is a gorgeous picture.
That was such a great time for me when I went to his studio and interviewed with him, and to just hold him again, and we were both at different places in our lives, but that was just such a healing moment for me. And we actually were able to call a few people that we worked with. We were able to call Peter North on the phone, and we just reminisced about a lot of things that happened.
I call Peter North.
Him on the phone. Yes, you like Peter North?
No, I'm talking about the book. That was.
Yes.
Look, when I tell you guys, BTG, Dog Pound Mike, this book is truly phenomenal, and you guys truly need to read it. What I want to do is, Domonique, I want to take a quick break, and I want to come back, but I want to open up the lines so so some of the fans could call it at and ask you a question if you don't mind.
All right.
It's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks here at Ask Nyomi Bridget Gap Podcast. I am here with the beautiful Domonique Simone. We're going to take a quick break, but guess what? We're opening up the lines. So give us a call at 1-626-605-2756. That's 1-266-605. Ask Nyomi, and we will be right back.
Hey, my sexy people, Nyomi here from Ask Nyomi Bridget the Gap. And I am thrilled to tell you about an important month that we are celebrating, Sexual Health Awareness Month in September. Satisfaction starts with conversation, and that's exactly what we're all about here at Ask Nyomi. We believe that open and honest dialogue is the key to positive sexual health experiences. So join us this September as we come together to raise awareness, break stigmas, and empower individuals like you to take control of their sexual well-being. Throughout the month, we have a lineup of incredible episodes that will cover everything you need to know about sexual health, from understanding contraception, options for navigating boundaries, and practicing consent. We leave no stone unturned. We'll dive deep into topics like pleasure, communication, and reproduction health, all with the goal of bridging the gap and empowering you to make informed choices. So remember, knowledge is power, and it's time to prioritize your sexual health. So mark your calendars and subscribe to Ask Naomi Bridging the Gap on your favorite podcast platform, and get ready for a month full of insightful conversation, expert guests, and eye-opening discussion. Let's break down barriers, challenge taboos, and create a safe space where we can learn, grow, and enhance our sexual well-being. Satisfaction starts with conversation. And with Ask Naomi Bridging the Gap, you have a platform to ask questions, and be a part of a community that believes in sexual empowerment. So join me, Naomi, this September as we celebrate Sexual Health Awareness Month. Together, let's bridge the gap for a healthier and happier sexual future. Don't miss out. Subscribe today. Ask Naomi Bridging the Gap and be a part of the conversation. Remember, satisfaction starts with conversation.
Hey, my sexy people, it's your girl, the goddess Naomi Banks. And I finally did it. I've written my first book. Well, actually, it's a living journal. It's called Good Morning, My Sexy People, where I share my stories in different posts, but help a healing workbook for you. So it's 90 days to kick off your healing living journey. Pre-purchase now. Go to asknaomi.com and hit shop. Listen.
All right, it's your girl, the goddess Naomi Banks here on Ask Naomi Bridging the Gap podcast, and I just get a little tongue-tied there. I am here with the beautiful, the iconic, oh my God, just Miss Domonique Simone is here. Hi, thank you. Seriously, thank you. Really, like we need to give you your flowers while you're here with us at this moment, at this time. And know that you are truly have been, you open the doors for a lot of us chocolate ones, like seriously, to really show that, we can do it, and not only do it, but we can, kind of make our own lane for ourselves. I know when I got into the industry, I didn't see too many people that look like me. You understand what I'm saying? And so just to know that when I did my research, I saw someone that looked like me. So thank you. Yeah. So thank you.
Acknowledge that. It's so sweet of you. And thank you so much. Thank you for the compliment.
Yeah.
Pleasure
Yeah, and my thing is, I always used to say, just because we have sex on film, don't mean that we cannot be sexy and we cannot be glamorous with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I was, doing in my way, the way that I did. But I also see that you were doing it in your way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And not to be afraid of wearing the big hair and the big eyelashes and the makeup. I came from modeling. I came from mainstream. And so I wanted to kind of, like you say, to glamorize it, to make it beautiful, especially for women of color, that was chocolate, like, this. But yeah, I just, serious. And this book is phenomenal. It is. So let me ask you this, because you didn't say this in the book, or I missed it. But how did you come up with your name, Domonique Simone?
I came up. Did I talk about Mr. Murphy in the book, Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
Okay. So at the time, maybe Eddie Murphy did a movie called, I think it was, he had a character in there. Her name was Sunshine, and her name was Dominique LaRue. And so I got Dominique from that. And Simone, I really liked Nina Simone. I was a big Nina Simone fan, and that's where I got Simone. Yes. You're the first person that's ever asked me that question about how I came up with my stage name. And I'm going to tell you something really funny. My cousin told me that she was helping me with my algebra homework when I was maybe like 14, 15 years old. And she told me, she said, it's so crazy that your name is Domonique Simone. She said, because you weren't like really focusing when I was helping you. You doodle Dominique and then Simone. And I was like, that is so crazy. My cousin told me that maybe about 3 years ago. She said, so that's where I thought you got the name. I was like, no. I said, that is
So unintentionally you manifested it.
Remember that, but I guess it was crazy. It was crazy when she told me that. It was kind of freaky. But you're the first person to ever ask me that question, though.
Yeah, I want to know. All right, so we do have a few people on the line. We're gonna do high priest.
You would go there. Let's see. No.
Oh, no, we're not. Okay, no, we're not. All right, we're gonna go to the phone line.
Yes, we will.
Hello, Ask Naomi.
Hello again, my beloved Naomi Banks.
Hey, Joseph, how are you?
Hey there, and welcome to Naomi's World, Dominique Simone. I don't know whether or not to pronounce it. It's Domonique.
Domonique.
Dominique
Am I
Simone.
reading it right? Because I always thought your name, the way your name was spelled, was more Dominique.
And it is spelled like that in a lot of my films, and that is a common mistake that's made with the spelling of my name. It's spelled Domon, and sometimes it's spelled Do.
Okay. I just have a question. I have on YouTube right now that I was planning to watch the Snoop Dogg music video, Murder Was the Case, that according to your Wikipedia profile, you said you made a cameo in. I just wanted to know which scene, and if by chance, if it was the mansion pool scene.
Yes, it was that scene. I'm wearing a
dance, sing in the pool.
Yes, that's me.
That's her.
It is.
Yes, me.
So that's you in the pool dancing.
That's me in the pool dancing. I have on the two-piece bikini. It's silver.
Because I couldn't tell, because don't see much porn stars in music videos. I'm just starting to see you as I saw another former porn star whose other show I listened to that I would like to hear you on. If it ever gets back on the air. I'm talking about Hot Sugar Tea, because I would like to hear your voice along with India's voice.
Oh, India.
A Star Is Born.
Yes, India is amazing. Yes.
Yes, she is.
If you're listening.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually the video. That's funny.
All right, Joseph.
I wish you good luck on your book. I wish you good luck on your book. And just before I sign off, I'm making a top 100 list of beautiful Black women porn stars of all time. Naomi and Dominique, and the three I chosen, if it's all right with you, I chosen India Morel at number 1, you Naomi Banks at number 2, and you Dominique Simone at number 3.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Don't get upset.
Oh, I can't. That is your preference, baby.
That's. Thank you so much for thinking.
Your preference. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'll let you talk to the other callers. Have a good night.
All right, have a good one, Joseph. All right, it's your girl D Goddess Naomi Banks here on Ask Naomi Bridget Gap Podcast. The lines are open. If you want to talk to the beautiful, iconic Dominique Simone, give us a call at 1-626-605-2756. That's 1-626-605-2756. Do we have another caller?
Let's see if this high priest can come in.
Hello? Hello? Okay. All right. All right. All right. So, I do have a whole lot of questions, a whole lot of questions. And I'm trying to make sure that I scatter around it so I don't tell too much, But I do want to speak on something. I saw when because you spoke a lot about you and TT's relationship, and you talk about how much you've learned from him and what he's taught you in the industry, but also about life. And I know it's one thing that you really talked about his work ethic, about him saving money, and that he never really drank or did drugs. That's something that when you were with him that, you kind of, swayed away from. But we have chapters into where that was a point that you were going to do drugs. And then there was a point that you were sober. So at this moment right now, how long have you been sober? How long have you been sober?
I've been sober for quite a long time, and I just wanted to kind of tell you how the drugs got introduced when I would do the appearance. I'm a shy person. I'm a Gemini, so I have that quiet side, and I have that shy side, and I remember when I would go and do my signings, I would be so. And you spoke of this about you. Sometimes you would be paranoid, and I remember doing a signing in Vegas, and when we're signing in Vegas, there's so many lines of people, and it's kind of overwhelming, and I just needed to loosen up. And I remember being in Vegas, and it's all the lights and all the fun, everybody's partying and drinking. So I started off with ecstasy to kind of open me up. And it's true, some things can be a gateway to a lot of other things. And that's kind of how that happened for me. And I'm fortunate that was not really something that took over my career. What I did in my personal life, as far as my drug, it was something that I did away from the movies. No one could ever say I showed up to work high or drunk, or I was a total professional. And I think during the time that I was with TT, I told you that was in the beginning of my career, right when I had just come out to Los Angeles, and he shielded me from that. He shielded me from that part of just life. And when we broke up, I was just more exposed. And one of the things I wanted to accomplish with my book, I just wanted to reach out to those young girls, the ones that come out to Los Angeles and they think, okay, I'm just going to come out there, I'm going to be a star. And there are these twists and turns that you do go through. And I'm glad that I went through what I went through. I don't regret anything in my life. I was able to come up on the other side and still be here. And there's a lot of people, I talk about this in one of my chapters, I think it's Depth of an Industry. I've gone through this website called Dead Porn Stars and looked at the names, and I'm like, I worked with half of these people. I can't believe she died. I can't believe he died. I can't believe, and we did have a few people that passed away in the industry when I was in the industry. That was like big shockers. And I was just looking through and seeing all the names, and I'm just so fortunate to be sitting here. Everything that I went through, all of the roller coasters, the good, the bad, the ugly, I go through that to just be here and be the person that I am right now. And I don't regret any of it. I really, really don't regret any of it. So so that was a very difficult time, and we you know, you were asking me about the chapter, you were asking me about the razor and the pills. I was very lost, and and I've been able to just heal from that, and be happy with myself. And one of the things that you can never do, you can never let other people define who you are. I remember being in the industry and everybody was trying to vet me. They even tried to do it with you. You know, oh, this person's your competition. They tried to do it with Heather. And I think that instead of us talking like I've heard girls do about actresses, we we should come together,
Yeah.
and especially as women, and women that are trying to be empowering and inspirational, we need to come together as one. So those difficult times that I went through were traumatizing, nightmarish, and I, when people read my book, you know, you'll be able to tell what I went through, but it molded me into such a good person. And
Mhm.
and I'm just so glad to be sitting here, and everything that I went through it for a reason.
Yeah.
I really did.
Yeah, you did. You know, it was one thing you talked about Heather Hunter, and I love her. She is probably one of my favorite people. Every time I do get a chance to go to New York, I always end up at her place, so where we having wine, or you
Love
know,
her.
or a barbecue in the back. She's just been so very welcoming to me in the industry. And it's always been an honor, to call her a friend or a sister. And I saw that you actually wrote about your time just spending time with her, and that you say, people will try to pin you, against each other, or whatever. But for me, honestly, I never looked at anyone as competition. I've always felt that we were all in different lanes. We always doing things differently. Like when I got into the industry, I was 30 years old, so I was older than
Oh,
yeah, I was older than them. And even though I didn't look it, but I was older, more mature. I was divorced, so I kind of knew coming in, what my goals in mind was going to be, because my I was only going to be in it for 5 years. That was my plan, 5 years. So when I saw these other women that were on set and stuff like that, it was more of me encouraging them to treat it like a business more than anything. Treat it as a business, brand yourself. That was more what I used to speak to all of the ladies that I was on set with. And I just remember at a moment of time, I remember it was a young lady that was on set. And she had like this little, one of those little canisters that you have liquor in. And every time that I saw her, she would have that. And I was like, what? I said, is that liquor? She said, yeah. And she said, I gotta have this to do this. And I remember telling her, I said, you know what? If you got to drink and do this to do this, then this probably not what you need to be
exactly.
doing. Right.
Exactly.
And after I said that, I didn't see her anymore. She quit. Like she quit. And people ask me, you didn't see? Honestly, no, I didn't see any drugs or anything like that on set. I didn't. I
No, no,
didn't see any
that was
drugs.
not that was not allowed
Yeah,
on this.
no.
And if they did hear of something like that, it just totally blackballed you. And yeah, so that's one of the misconceptions people have about our industry, is that goes on a lot, and it really doesn't.
Yeah.
Doesn't.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was majority of all of really majority of the sets that I've been in were all professional, very very professional. Like you said, it's not the most comfortable position in play. It might look like it when they finish editing it, but
Yeah.
when they got the cameras there and the light right between, you know what I'm talking about. It's just
Yeah,
like
girl, I know.
it's just it's something. But for me, I was able to meet some really great people in this industry. For you, even though I read the book and I know your experience, for you, what have your experiences been with the people in the industry, and have you made any lifelong friends in the industry?
Oh yeah. Um, I'm I'm really close with Janet Jackme. That's my girl. She's been with me throughout some crazy experiences. She was actually with me the night that I met Prince, which I talk about
Yeah.
in my book. It was me and Janet and Julian St. Jacques, and we were at this club. She's been a really long-term friend. Taylor Wayne. Taylor Wayne. It's my girl. That was like, we used to go everywhere together. We used to be at all of the clubs, and it's so funny because I actually have, I know she has this picture too. We went out one night in Hollywood, and I sent her the picture, or she sent it to me, and she was actually wearing a pair of white chaps and a push-up bra and a white cowboy hat. And I saw what I was wearing, and I'm like, girl, I can't believe that we used to go out dressed like that to the clubs, you know? And she was like, girl, you know, me and Taylor Wayne actually did an episode of People's Court together.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's how. See, I didn't want to talk about that, but since you go talk about the Gigi found out.
Yes, that's how my grandma found out. And it was so funny because I told Taylor that day, it was Judge Wapner, and I told her that day, I said, whatever you do, dress conservative. And because she rocked those thigh high boots, you know, the ones that she was the original Mary J. Blige. She rocked those thigh high boots. She'd be like, girl, with her heels and girls. And so I told her, I said, whatever you do just dress conservative. So she did. She put on a suit coat, those heels, those thigh high boots on. And it was so funny because the day that we did this taping of People's Court, it was Judge Wapner, and it just so happened to be a class trip for a bunch of third graders. And so we were getting through the episode, and I was explaining. I had someone that was an Obsessed fan. I was just kind of explaining that he had my pictures everywhere. So Judge Wapner asked me, he said, well, what do you do for a living? Are you a model? And then, so this person had their mother with them, and they said, no, she's a porn star. And so I remember hearing one of the kids go, it's a porn star. And it was so funny. And this is and it was just so funny, and it was like the whole room was quiet. And Taylor, and the first time I've ever been, Taylor was always the one that was very boisterous and talkative, and then I'm talking all proper, like, oh yes, Your Honor, and, you know, but she's always been the one that was more outgoing. But this day she was just like kind of choked up. She was like, because it was just kind of intimidating being there in front of Judge Wapner, but he was very nice. I won my case, and he was very nice. And one thing I learned is that when you're on, if you ever go on one of these shows, you have to wait and speak when they speak to you, you know, and that's what I did. And my grandmother was a big fan of People's Court, and she saw me on that show, and that's how she found out that I was in the industry. I can't believe they even kept that part in there where he was like, well, what do you do? And and I think his mom yelled, she's a porn star. And I was just like,
everybody gonna go Google that, right?
That was gonna come up, but I should have known that it would have come up. And you know, afterwards when you're going out, you talk to, I think his name was Doug Llewellyn, and he was like, you prevailed in this case, and you know, so it was just a really, really cool moment. So I've stayed really good friends with Taylor, and Mimi Miyagi was a really good friend of mine. That she was very instrumental in me meeting a few people that I talk about in my book, but I pretty much stayed to myself. I didn't run around and party with a lot of people. I was private, and I just had a group of people that I hung out with. I remember this one. I had an experience with Heather Hunter where we went out one night, and these girls were going to fight us. It was New Year's, and we ended up going I went back to her home and she was painting. She paints those beautiful pictures. And she went back and painted and we got bologna from 7-Eleven and had made bologna sandwiches on New Year's Eve. So I had that experience with her and I've never really been out anywhere and had girls just want to fight me because I'm Domonique Simone. And I remember, and then me and Janet, we went out a lot together. We used to go to Princess Club, Glam Slam, and so we had a lot of fun together. And she used to do my hair. So and we just had a lot of fun together. I actually met Janet on it was Black Velvet 2. We did a movie Black Velvet 2, and I think they kind of just threw her in the movie. She was Julian St. Johnson's girlfriend, and they just kind of threw her in a scene where there was dialogue, and that was her introduction into the industry. And we were really close, and we hung out, and we had a lot of fun, and we had a lot of wow moments. Like I said, I just really didn't hang out with a lot of people from the industry. Not a lot, no.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. But this is what I want to do. I want to just have a few little fun questions with you. Just a few. Just a few. Yeah, just a few. What was your your best memory? What was the most memorable scene?
The most memorable scene would be with Shawn Michaels. We did a scene in a helicopter above Los Angeles, and that was amazing. I'm scared to fly, but it was pretty scary. But we took the helicopter up, so we were actually shooting that scene while we were up in the helicopter. And it was just a camera. It was they had the seat with them, and we were right here, and then this camera guy on this side. It wasn't it was just a helicopter. So that had to be and it was so funny because when I did that scene in the helicopter, the day before I had done the 50 girl gangbang scene. And so I had been working for about 4 days straight, and I had a crazy night the night before. I had been, I don't know what I was doing, but I was hoarse. So when in the movie, when I actually do speak, I'm talking really raspy with that Demi Moore voice because I had been out the night before with someone, and I had gotten really crazy. But that was a really, really fun scene. And we actually did the scene in the helicopter, and then they landed the helicopter and they presented us because we were this couple that was going to this ball. So he was dressed in a tux and he had on a cape. I was dressed in a gown. It was very glamorous. And then as they landed the helicopter, they were like, and presenting Mr. and Mrs. And then we got off, and it was just like, yeah, so that was so much fun. That's probably one of the best times that I've had. Other than there was another time when I was at the Cannes Festival in France, and me and my boyfriend at the time, he actually was a model in the business, not in our industry, but he was a model. And the paparazzi chased us out of the award show, and they were snapping pictures. And we actually got the cover of the paper in Paris. And they call it, what did they call the ad? It was called American Hospitality, because we were being chased everywhere. And he turned around and he, did this. And so they caught that one picture and it was like us running, and I'm turned around and I'm in this white gown, and him with his tux, and he's doing that. And it was like American Hospitality, and we're on the cover of the paper. So I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So those were some moments that I remember from my career that stood out.
Okay, here's another question. What's the essence of Domonique Simone?
What makes Domonique Simone? What's it, Domonique Simone? There's actually two sides of Domonique, and my real name is Deirdre. So there's Deirdre, Dominique. The Dominique is kind of like, when Beyonce says she turns into Sasha Fierce. So I have the two sides. I have the side where I'm very sensuous and but I have that side where I can be like Darling Nikki and I could be like down. So that's just who I am. And so I would say that's the essence of Dominique Simone. She's a little bit shy, but kind of like a tigress, a
Right.
tigress.
Right. All right, so this is my last question for you. And this is a fun question that I have. So I'm gonna have to rephrase one of the words. And
Okay.
it's what is it? Marry, screw, unalive.
Okay.
Marry, screw, unalive.
Okay. Say it again.
Marry, screw, unalive. So I'm about to give you 3 names.
Okay.
Marry, screw, unalive. So you know what unalive is, right?
Unalive. Mary, screw. Unalive is what?
Yeah. It's in grade.
Unalive. Okay.
Yes, unalive. All right, so I'm gonna give you 3 names, all right? I'm gonna give you TT Boy, Lex, and Peter North. So which one would you marry? Which one would you screw? And which one would you unalive?
Oh my goodness. I can't believe you just asked me that question. Mary would be TT. Screw would be Peter North. Would be let's. Oh my God, he's gonna be so mad about this. But I dated him and I just I have a crazy Lexington story that I talk about in my book and and there's a slap that was heard from around the world and yes.
You know what? And Lex is one of my dearest friends too. And this is a question that I ask, and I put his name in it all the time. Well, I put his and Marcus' name all the time here. And he gets the unalive all the time. And I'm like, what are y'all doing?
Well, you know why, girl.
But Miss Beautiful Dominique Simone. Yes, I had to give you that question. But this book right here, beautiful. This is an amazing book. It is called A Star is Born by the beautiful Dominique Simone. Please, you all go pick it up. Go pick it up. Go pick it up. Go pick it up. Seriously, when you see a beautiful woman like this, too, who's able to bear her spirit and her soul in this book, and when I say that it's been transformational, it is. It is. She takes you on a journey of her life. And it's an amazing journey when I say, this is the thing. My BTG crew, when y'all get the book, I want y'all to take a picture of it, but I want y'all to read it. I want y'all to read it. And then I want y'all to write me and let me know what you think about it. And let me know that I was right because it is a movie and it's a page turner. I'm telling you, it truly is.
Play me in a movie though. That's what I wanted. Who do you think could play me if we actually turned this into a movie?
Oh, that's a good question. First of all, I think you can play yourself older, like from the time you were like 26 and because you still look good. You know what I'm saying? So let's say maybe we can put what's her name? I love her. Megan Good.
That's the number one person that I keep getting is Megan Good. And then Stallion, I get her.
Megan Thee Stallion.
I've had some people say Megan Thee Stallion. This one picture that I took where her and I look alike. And who else would you say could play me?
I don't think that they don't the essence of you.
Yes.
Meaning, I see Megan, I see her can be that sensual and and me reading the book can go there, in it. I don't know if Megan could go there and be as sensitive and sensual as needed to be that I know that Megan could do.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that you ain't read the book. I'm about to ask you, do you agree? Like,
Who else would you say could play me in a movie? Because I've been really interested to hear someone's, because I keep getting Megan Good, and that's like the number one name.
I think she can play you from the time you got into the industry, from 19, probably from the time you from probably at 27.
Yeah, and I get the girl that the the new reboot of Fresh Prince of Bel Air, the actress that's on there that plays Hillary. I get her name a lot that she could play me. But I was just kind of thinking about that. Who could play me?
I have to see her in more. I have to see her in more stuff.
Yes, yes,
I have
yes.
to see her in more stuff because I have to see, and that's why I'm trying to think of somebody who can really bring that, that too. I would have said Gabrielle Union, but
I love Gabrielle Union. I think that she.
I think she can. I think she
could.
I think she can. But yeah, but I think you can play yourself.
Oh, wow, that would be such a fun thing to do.
I think you can.
I'm really hoping that maybe I could turn this into a movie, and I've been in some discussions about it, but
yeah,
it would probably have to be a series because there's so much that happens in my book, and the way I walk through my book from when I'm younger to now, it would have to be a series because it's not something that can be told in 2 hours. So yes.
Yeah, it's yeah. I'm telling you, it's a phenomenal book. It really is. It really is. It really is. Oh, we got a caller on the line. Okay, we're gonna take this last call.
Okay.
Ask Naomi. Hello, can you turn your radio, your what's the name down, love?
Hello, caller.
Hello, how you doing?
We're doing. What's your name, baby?
It's Wally from New York calling just to say hello to the two most beautiful women.
Oh, hi, Wally. Oh, my goodness. Oh, it's so great that you called in. I just love you. Thank you for calling in. Thank you.
Hi, Wally.
You reminded me you were on the show, and I've been watching you for all night.
Oh, yes, Wally.
How you doing, Naomi?
I'm well. How are you?
You are the two most beautiful women that walk the face of the earth.
Why, thank
you so much. Thank you. I saw your message pop up, and I was
so happy I had the chance to talk to two of you once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for calling in, Wally. I just love you. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
And hopefully I'll get to see you two of you soon.
Yes, you will.
Enjoy the rest of your night.
All right. Thank you, Wally. Oh my God, now that was a blast from the past right there.
You know, Wally?
Yeah, that was a blast from the past. Woo.
Love Wally.
Yeah. That was a good one. He sounded good.
Yes. Wally's awesome. Yes.
You sounded good. Well, beautiful. I thank you so much for joining us here. Is there any last words that you want to leave? What I do, I got one more word. And I know you said it in the book, but if you had any advice for anybody that wants to come into this industry, both male and female, what would that advice be coming into the adult industry?
Just you want to be in control of your career and own who you are and be comfortable in your own skin, and that's really important when you come into this industry. You have to be a very strong person because there will be so many challenges that are thrown your way, and you came in 2006. I came in the late 80s, and kind of like two different times. And I don't know what it's really like right now because I don't think they really shoot a lot of stuff in Los Angeles anymore. I remember when I was working, they would be shooting every day. Every day at the sound station. So there was a production. But I don't know if they're really shooting like that anymore because of OnlyFans. You know, girls kind of take take the reign. They can kind of take over their career and do whatever they want to do. And I think that's really important, to be in control of what you do. And that's one of the things that I was very fortunate to have. I chose who I wanted to work with, what I did, and I wasn't forced to do anything. So I would advise anyone that's coming into the industry to be very comfortable with yourself, and don't do anything because someone tells you to do it. Do it because you want to do it, because you enjoy doing it, because that's what made the industry really fun. I loved doing what I did, and and yes, that's what I would say.
All right, but again, thank you. Is there any words, last minute words that you want to say to the audience out there? I mean, because we're streaming on both Twitter,
Thank you
YouTube,
very
all
much.
that.
Thank you very much. And buy my book. You're gonna love it. It has just amazing pictures, and I'm gonna be traveling soon and signing autographs, and so a lot of these pictures, some pictures in here that you've never seen before. And I'm looking forward to going out and touring and meeting everybody and signing some books. I'm going to be touring with probably Barnes and Noble and with a few other smaller bookstores. So I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. Thank you
And
so
let me know
much.
when you come to Las Vegas, and then we can have.
Oh my goodness, I'm going to be in Vegas for the show. I'm going to come out for the show in January.
Okay.
And I had a billboard just up in Vegas, maybe this past weekend over by MGM Grand. Yes, yes. I put it on my social media, but yes, I had a billboard that was over by MGM Grand, and that was really exciting. I wasn't able to actually go shoot the billboard because I had 3 go up in one day. I had 2 one over off of the right near the airport, and um, another one in Montebello, and then the one in Vegas. So they all went up the same day, and I wasn't able to go and actually shoot the one in Vegas, but I did have someone go and shoot that one. And that was just very exciting. I've seen my name lights or me on a billboard before, but to actually have it in Vegas, that's quite an accomplishment, because that's where I kind of started with the shows and CES, and I've had so much fun coming out to Vegas. So I do plan on coming out for the CES show and being there. I hope to see you there. And there's a lot of people that actually live in Vegas from the industry. I used to live in Vegas too. I lived in Vegas for about 2 years, and I just had to get out of Vegas because it was just like too much going on, and I just had to get out of there, and I came back to LA. I actually went to Atlanta for a little bit, but yes. So I plan on coming to Vegas soon, and that's what I would love to see you. Let's get together, and I go to the strip clubs out there. It's so much fun. I love the strip clubs.
We have to go. Everybody say, you haven't met. I said, no, I haven't. I guess you have. I said, no, I have not.
I actually was signing for Christian Man, and I actually walked by you guys' booth, and this is when he had that dream team. It was you, India, like 5 different girls, the twins, Chocolate and Mocha, and I walked by you guys' booth, and I was signing for Leisure Time. And it was just so crazy, but I've always wanted to meet you, and I was always say that you were so beautiful, and I'm so glad that you asked me to do your show. I'm just so excited to be here. It was fun. Really, really fun.
And this book is phenomenal.
You a question though. What was the craziest thing that happened to you in the business?
Someone asked me that the other day, and what was the craziest thing that happened to me in the I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say it, but it was somebody. It was I don't even want to say it. Yeah.
Do I know this person too?
Oh, very well.
I think I know who you talking about.
You know him too well.
Girl, we got to talk about this one. Oh yes. If this is who I think it is. Child. Oh my goodness.
But otherwise, I've had this industry has been really good to me. Like, You know how a lot of people will want to put their shame on you for being in this industry or whatever like that. For me, I don't. I've grown from this industry. I've grown in this industry. And I just, build a platform that we can be able to sit and we can talk and have authentic conversations. And then, they can see us in a different light. They can see us as
Exactly.
beings. You,
And
you know
see,
what
see, human beings, we're not these super women that we
Yes,
think we are. So yeah,
yes.
this
But
really
I
is
am
really
a superwoman, though. I am a super goddess. Yes, I am.
all right, girl. Own that. Yes.
I understand what you say, and
Yes.
here we have great time, and then we do get very deep here. We talk about transitioning, healing. That's the biggest thing for me. I know that my journey in life, especially coming into this industry, has been a part of my calling. As when I read your book, I said, yes, this is a part of her calling. This is
Yes.
your part. You're going to be walking on stages and you're going to be speaking and
Yeah.
talking about everything that happened in here,
Mhm.
so people can recognize, those things. Um, and we probably can talk for a long, long time because there was a whole lot of questions in here, like a questions,
Yeah.
that I wanted to get into, but I figured that maybe I can bring you back sometime and then we
I
can.
would love to come back. Thank you so much for having me. This was just the time went by so fast. I was wishing to get back home on this freeway, and I was just like, "Oh my goodness!" And I'm so glad that I was able to sit down and relax and unwind with you tonight. Yes, it was amazing. Thank you so much for having
Thank
me.
you so much. And good luck on the book. And I'm telling y'all, go get that book. It's amazing. It truly is amazing. So if you're watching on YouTube, Twitter, you're listening on iHeart, whatever, go get it. It's called A Star is Born by Domonique Simone. And it's a beautiful book. It really is.
Thank
It,
you.
it is. All
Thank
right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
All right, it's your girl, the goddess, Nami Banks here on Ask Nami Bridget the Gap podcast. And that was the beautiful Dominique Simone. And as I said before, that book is it is an amazing book. It truly is a page turner. Um, I finally finished it today. I had so much stuff going on that I was like, okay, I have to really sit down and finish reading this book. And when I say every chapter was an amazing chapter, it really was. It took me on a journey. It was like it was a movie that was happening in my head, like seriously. Um, I love that she was, courageous. She was so authentic in the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? It was good. Man, y'all got to get it. Y'all have to get it. And remember, this month is sexual healing. So next week we're gonna have a really great topic for you guys. And then we have the week after next, we have the sexy, the beautiful entrepreneur, another icon, Miss India Morel. We actually talked about her a little bit. She will be here week after next. And then we're going to end it with Omega. Omiba is a woman's own pleasure company that will be coming on at the end. Also, I want to thank everybody who signed up for our um, our challenge for this month, which was our self-love challenge. We're on day 7. And so I want to congratulate all of you that's been in there for my BTG crew and that's still been hanging on for this week. We got some really, really good things that's happening in the next few challenges. So again, we still open it up. You can still sign up. I'm not. I was going to close it before. You probably missed some days, but that's okay because it's still some healing that needs to be done. You can go to axnaomi.com/elevate me if you want to sign up for our 30-day practice of self-love challenge. Like I had to, kind of look over there to make sure I was saying the right thing. I'm like, what? But again, I want to thank you, my BTG crew. I want to thank everybody that's listening and viewing out there in the universe right there. I want to thank my boy, Doc Pound Mike. Thank you for always being support. I want to thank my boys, the Elements, that always coming through with that favorite song of mine. It's all about you. You know what it is. I want to thank all of my BTG crew. I ain't said nobody names today, but I thank y'all for being here. Um, as I always say, be good to one another in yourselves. And what? Always keep it sexy. I will see y'all next week.
Hey, it's the goddess Naomi Banks, and I hope you enjoyed that last episode of Ask Naomi Bridging the Gap. And if you did, please like, subscribe, press that notification button, as well as comment. I'll see you next week. Keep it sexy.
Ask Nyomi, Bridging the Gap. This is where we talk about love, sex, relationships, cultural differences, and so much more.